A very good evening, my dear students and my dear friends. This is 4th class on Python programming language. We have started a complete syllabus coverage series for Python programming language subject. Today we will discuss about recursion and standard libraries topic in Python programming. So let's move to the first slide. Before coming to the today's topic, let me introduce with the previous topics which we have already covered in the previous live streaming classes of this subject. In the very first class, we started with the introduction part. What do you mean by Python, why Python is used, what are the advantages and disadvantages of Python, the history and the basics of Python programming language. We covered this topic where who developed the Python, the difference between Python and other high level programming languages. We have also completed the comparison of Python with Java programming language, C programming language as well as C++ programming language. I have given you one website on which you can perform the live demonstration of Python program, that was pythontutor.com. I am just writing here for your reference. This is a website pythontutor.com. This is a website basically used to run the Python program step by step and to visualize the effect of execution of one line and its impact inside the program. So we have done this with the help of pythontutor.com. We studied various kind of operators in Python programming language. As like every high level programming language, Python also has a very large set of operators. So we studied various operators like relational operator, assignment operator, arithmetic operator. The most important topic from exam point of view, we covered the Python programming development environment. How the environment of Python is different from other programming languages like C or C++. So let me give you a very brief review about it. In Python, there is no need of compiler. It is an interpreted language. You just write the code at runtime, send to the interpreter, line by line the code is executed and the output is displayed to the user. But in the language like C or C++ or even Java, we need some compiler code to just convert the .c program into .obj program or some other .cpp program into .obj program or .java program into bytecode. So that was one more step required in the previous languages, but Python programming development environment or development cycle is different. It directly interprets the code and execute it. We studied the control structure in Python like if statement, nested if statement, else statement, for loop, while loop, do while loop. As like every programming language, Python has a very large set of control structures available. The next important topic which we covered in the previous class was data structures available in Python. We covered two type of data structures like mutable data types or data structure or immutable data type, strings, list, dictionary, tuple. So for those kind of videos, you can just refer the previous class video and you can get insights about the data structures in Python. Then in the previous class, we covered functions in Python programming. Every programming language provides the facility of functions, inbuilt function or user defined function. So all are covered in this class. So now coming to today's topic, today we will cover two very important topics. One is iteration and recursion and their comparison in Python. Iteration and recursion, their comparison, as well as the standard libraries available in Python programming language to perform basic operations. We will cover today four type of different libraries. So these are the topic for today's class. First of all, we will take example of factorial of a number by using iteration. Then we will take example of factorial of a number using recursion. Then in the case study, we will do Tower of Hanoi problem. We will also execute its code in Python by using recursion. So this is the case study topic for today, Tower of Hanoi problem. It is a quiz or a puzzle problem. Now let me start with the recursion part. So recursion is a method invoking itself which call itself. Invoking means the function or method which is calling itself again and again. Like I have defined a function factorial to count the factorial of a number 5. As everybody knows, factorial needs again and again same kind of computation. So same type of method is being called again and again to perform the same kind of operation. So the factorial function is using the recursion concept. We can do factorial by using iteration as well, like we can use for loop or we can use while loop to perform the to compute the factorial of a number. Today I will help with you both the examples, computing the factorial by using iteration, then what is its output, how step by step output is different when I will compute factorial of a number using recursion. So the results in compact representation of certain type of logic and is used as substitute for iteration. So sometimes it is better than iteration. Recursion has few advantages over iteration, but sometimes it has few disadvantages as well. So I have made a combined chart comparing iteration and recursion together. So let me come to the example part. What is a factorial? First of all, I will give you the definition of a factorial as well as the example. Then we will perform the factorial of a number by using two methods. Factorial is a non-negative integer. You need to remember, negative numbers are not used in computing the factorial of a number. It is a non-negative integer. It is product of all positive integer. This is the definition. Product of all positive integers less than or equal to that number. Like I want to calculate the factorial of 4 here, then it is the product or multiplication of all numbers less than or equal to 4 except 0 or non-negative number, like 4 multiply by 3 multiply by 2 multiply by 1. So it comes out 24. So this is the factorial of number 4. If I will write the equation to calculate the factorial of a number, this line gives you the equation, like sign of exclamation. You need to remember, sign of exclamation is used to represent the factorial of a number. So if I will say I want to calculate the factorial of a number n, then it can be written as n multiply by n minus 1 multiply by n minus 2 multiply by n minus 3 up to 1, not 0, because if I will multiply everything with 0, then the whole product will become 0. That gives only one output, which is 0. So factorial of a number is 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So the factorial of 4 here is 24. Okay, now coming back to the next example, this is the program to find out the factorial of a number using iteration. Here I am not using recursion. I am simply using for loop and if and else statements to find out the factorial of a given number. Some inbuilt methods or functions are used in this program, and we will see the output, what will be the output of this program. Then we will do the same operation with recursion by using Python, and that code will be written only in 2 lines. As you can see here, to find the factorial of a number, I have written 10 lines code without using recursion. So it is using iteration concept, that is our loop, for loop. So first of all, I have declared num. This is the first line of a program in Python. If you want to write this program in C or C++ programming language, there are some restrictions. You need to include the header file like hash include stdio.h or hash include iostream.h, hash include conio.h, but in Python no such header files are required. This is the advantage of Python. Also no data type need to be declared, like this number is of integer type, float type, character type or string type. Nothing is required to define. The value which I will enter in this particular variable, it will automatically take the data type as of the same number or string or alphabet or floating point value which I have entered. So also there is no need to define any main function. This is another big advantage of using Python. I have explained it in detail in the previous classes. So if I want to write the variable, I simply have to write the name of the variable. No need to define main function, then its return type. As we know, in C we generally write void main, where main has a return type void, which means it is returning null or nothing. So num is equal to int input, enter a number. Now what will be the impact of this line in the output? As you can see here, num is equal to int. First of all, I am taking some integer value. Input is the inbuilt function in Python which is used to take some input value from the keyboard. It is very similar to scanf function in C language or cin function in C++ language. So input will take some input from the keyboard, but before taking input I have written some label or text message within the bracket of this particular function, enter a number. So first of all, in my screen enter a number will be displayed. After that the cursor will wait for the user to type some number into the system. Because I have given the integer here, so it will now accept only integer value and store it into 1. Now this is the first line. Second line is I have declared another variable and assigned a value 1, which means I have taken a variable factorial and value 1 is assigned to that variable. Now conditional part start. If num is less than 0 and colon, this is again very important thing which I am explaining once again. Colon is mandatory to write if you are writing any if case or you are writing any for loop. This is the condition, or you can say syntax condition in Python. So if num is equal to 0 means with the help of input value I have entered -1, -2, -3, then this if condition will become true. So if num is less than 0, then it will print a message. Again simple print function is used here and this output will be displayed on the screen. Factorial does not exist for negative number and the program will terminate. If I will enter a negative number in the variable num by the help of this input function. If this condition fails, then I will go to another block, that is elif condition. Okay. So this elif condition tells us that if the entered number is equal to 0, then means I want to calculate the factorial of a number 0, then I have to print one more message, that is the factorial of 0 is 1. You need to remember that the factorial of 0 is 1. So we cannot calculate the factorial of 0 as well, because it is a standard value that factorial of 0 is 1. Similarly, if I will enter third option like no negative number, 0 is also not entered, a positive value is entered, then this for loop code will be executed. This for loop will call the factorial value and multiply it with variable I. I means it. This is the syntax of for loop which I have explained in the previous class. For I in range. Here for and in are reserved word. The range is the inbuilt function. 1 to num plus 1. It will start its index from 1 and goes up to num plus 1. Say I have num is equal to 4. I entered value 4. So this index goes from 1 to 5, not from 0 to 4. Generally by default the array index starts from 0, but in Python for loop index starts from 1. So factorial is equal to factorial into I. Earlier factorial was 1, then it goes to 2, 3, 4. Because I have entered 4, so the output will be displayed like 4's factorial. the sign of exclamation will be used. 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, which is equal to 24. So the output will be 4's factorial is 24, and it will print the value as the factorial of num. Now you can see here inverted comma contains the static part, which will be displayed as it is by the help of print statement. Num will represent the value num, which I have entered here, enter a number, is then the factorial will represent the calculated value of factorial in this for loop body. So the output will be the factorial of 4 is 24. So this is a simple factorial program. Here recursion is not used. I have not defined any function which is calling itself again and again. Simply the for loop is used to find the value of factorial. That is why it is called as iteration. Just see the output. Enter a number 10. The output is this one. It will be 10 multiply by 9, multiply by 8, multiply 7, multiply 6, multiply 4, then multiply 3, multiply 2 and multiply 1. This value will become like this: 10 into 9 into 8 into 7 into 6 into 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. If I will type here as 4, the output will be 24. So this is the factorial program using iteration. Now coming to the factorial program using recursion. Now this is the main topic which I have to explain you today, and this program require only 2 lines. This is the complete code of writing a recursive program to calculate the factorial of a number. I have to declare a user defined function. So here I have given the name of function as fact. You can give any name, like you can write your own name as well. Then you need to call that function recursively within the body of this function. The complete explanation of function I have done in the previous live class, which you can refer on our YouTube channel's past videos. So the syntax is def fact within the bracket n and again sign of colon. As I have already told you many times, colon is mandatory to write if you are writing in Python. Now return 1 if n is equal to 1 or n is equal to 0. Means if the value entered for n is either 1 or 0, this n will receive the value from this variable num, because the num will be passed from here to here. You can see here, this is the recursive call. The fact have been passed the value num, and num has been assigned a value 5, and the output will be factorial of num is, that will be printed. So here you can see, if num has been assigned 1, then it will go to if block if n is equal to 1 or n is equal to 0, else it will go to n into fact n minus 1. Now check on this part, n into fact n minus 1. This fact program is calling itself, this fact function is calling itself again and again. Just see the code once again. Def fact within the bracket n will receive the value from this number factorial num. If the entered value is 1, here I am passing 5. So this if condition fails, because num is equal to 5 has been passed to n and n has been given value is equal to 5. So if n is equal to 1 or 0, condition fails, then it will go to else part. In else part, this n will be multiplied by fact within the bracket n minus 1. Again this function is calling itself again and again. So n means 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. As soon as it becomes 1, it will go to the if condition and we will get our output. So first of all, here call goes 5 into fact 4 into then fact 3, fact 2 into fact 1. As soon as it becomes 1, then this if condition will become true. You can see here the step by step execution logic for it. Initially 5 will be passed, so this n will be assigned value 5, then it will call recursively 4, then 3, then 2, then 1, as soon as it becomes 1, it will be assigned value 1 and the output will be factorial of 5 is 120. So, the output come here, factorial of 5 is 120. From where this statement came? This came from this print function. Within the print I have written factorial of num is, and then I printed this value. So, factorial of 5 is 120. So, this is the factorial program using recursion. I will show you the previous slide, the factorial program using iteration. You can have a look on this particular slide, have a quick look on the program written to find the factorial of a number using iteration. Then this is the factorial of a number using recursion. So, this is the second code for the same program, output is written here. Okay, now this slide do the comparison of iteration and recursion on 6 different parameters. There are 6 different parameters have been given here. For the detailed explanation of this slide, you can refer the reference given here, the website from where I have taken it as a reference to explain you. Number 1 property or number 1 parameter is definition. Definition of recursion is function calling itself is called as a recursion. Definition of iteration is a set of instructions repeatedly executed. So, you need to be very clear about the definition as well. The definition of recursion is function calling itself, and the definition of iteration is a set of instructions repeatedly executed. Now, second property is application. Recursion is applicable for functions, but iteration is applicable for loops. So, you need to remember recursion is applicable for functions and iteration is applicable for loops. So, there are 6 different parameters. I am writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. There are 6 different parameters: definition, application, termination, usage, code size and time complexity. So, through base case the termination of recursion will be done. So, third parameter is termination, how to terminate recursion or how to terminate iteration. So, for termination of recursion we use some base case where there will be no function call. In the previous example, the base case was if I is equal to 1 or 0 in the example of factorial. But in case of iteration, the termination condition is iteration ceases to be satisfied. When the condition is satisfied, like for loop condition is satisfied, if condition is satisfied, while loop condition is satisfied, then this iteration will terminate itself. Next is usage. It is used when code size needs to be small and time complexity is not an issue. This is very important point, where to use recursion and where to use iteration. Recursion is used when you need small size code and time complexity is not an issue, because recursion have high time complexity, but it require smaller code size. But in case of iteration, it is used when time complexity needs to be balanced against an expanded code size. When you need less time complexity and your code is larger in size, then you will go for iteration, else you will go for recursion. This is the 5th parameter, code size. Now, last is, I have already told you, time complexity. Recursion have very high time complexity, generally in exponential time, means raised to power 2 raised to power 3, 3 raised to power 5, 5 raised to power 7, which is very high time complexity parameter. It is very high. But in case of iteration, it has lower time complexity, generally either polynomial or logarithmic. So, if you are using iteration, then the time complexity will be in either polynomial slope of curve or logarithmic value. But in case of recursion, it is generally exponential in nature, directly goes high. So, these are the 6 parameter: the definition, application, termination, usage, code size and time complexity. On these 6 parameter, iteration and recursion are compared here, and this question is very important from exam point of view. Okay, and now I am sure you are very clear about the difference between recursion and iteration, the comparison of iteration and recursion. Now the case study part, which we have to do today in Python, case study of Tower of Hanoi problem. This question mostly comes in your exam. The Tower of Hanoi problem was discovered by the French mathematician Edward Lucas in 1883. More than around 140 years ago, this problem was identified. Till date, it has been used as a case study in every high level programming language. Its basic use to learn the concept of recursion. I have already explained you with the help of factorial example. This Tower of Hanoi problem also explain you in detail about the recursion, the usage of recursion. This is actually a puzzle or game which has 3 rules. You need to remember 3 rules. You need to move only one disk at a time. I will show you one diagram. This is the pictorial representation of Tower of Hanoi problem. There are 3 poles A, B, C, 3 disks, one is blue color, green color and orange color. You need to transfer the 3 disks from tower A to tower B and the output will be like same. The largest disk at the bottom, the middle disk at between and the smallest disk at the top. You have to transfer it from here to here with the help of third tower C. There are 3 rules when you are playing this game. Number 1, move only one disk at a time. This is the rule. Rings must be in decreasing size. Means at any stage there should be note the case like small disk is at bottom and large size disk is at its top. The disk moves one at a time and rings must be in decreasing in size. No move should result in a larger disk on top of a smaller disk. As I told you, this is second rule. At any stage it is not allowed that larger disk is on top and smaller disk is at bottom. For temporarily holding a disk, you can say temporary buffer size, the third tower can be used. So you are provided with one more tower, that is third tower. You can use that tower for temporarily holding one disk and after that removing. It should not be storing permanent disk. So initially all the 3 disks will be in the tower A, then all disks have to be shifted into tower B with the help of tower C. It is actually a 8-step process if I am taking 3 disks. If we will take more number of disks, then number of steps will be increased. I will show you one by one the step, then I will explain you its Python code with the help of recursion. So this is the step 1, initial stage, tower A, tower B, tower C. Tower A contains 3 disks, the largest disk at the bottom, the smallest disk at the top. I have to make it like this stage 8. In between I need 7 steps. So as there are 3 rules, you can move only one disk at a time and at any stage larger disk does not come over smaller disk. So in first move I have transferred this to here. So in the B part, not in C part, I have transferred the smallest disk from tower A to tower B, as you can see here. But this need to be at the top because it is the smaller disk. For that I have done another part. The green disk has been transferred from here to here. Like this green disk came from tower A to tower C. So after 2 moves the situation will be like this. The largest disk at tower A, the smallest disk at tower B, the intermediate disk at tower C. Now next step you need to keep remembering the 2 conditions which you need to follow. No smaller disk come at up top. So in that case I have shifted disk from tower B to tower C. This is 4th step. As you can see here, now tower B becomes empty. Every time I am doing the same task, moving a disk from one tower to another tower, moving a disk from another tower to one tower. Same kind of operations are being performed. That is why we can do it with the help of recursion. Now next step, I have shifted the largest disk from tower A to tower B. So tower B contains the largest disk, then coming back the smallest disk to tower A. because I have to keep it at the bottom. So, I cannot shift it from C to B. I need to shift it from C to directly to A. Then moving in the sixth step, green disk to tower B. Now smallest disk from A to B. So after 7 steps, within the 8th step, I will get the desired output. So you can have a look on the all steps given here. Step number 1, step number 8 are the initial and the final condition. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are the inbuilt movements. So this is Tower of Hanoi problem. Now we will do its recursive program in Python. That is our today's main task. Okay, now recursive Python function to solve the Tower of Hanoi problem. You need to define a user defined function. So you can give any name. I have given the name of function as Tower of Hanoi. You can write TOH or you can write any name. There are 4 parameters I have given here. One is the number of disks. In the example I have shown in the previous slide was having 3 disks, and there are 3 towers. The name of the towers given are source, destination, auxiliary. This source can be written as A, it can be written as B, it can be written as C. So there are 3 towers named ABC or source, destination and auxiliary, and 1n which is the number of disk. So if condition, that should you need to remember, if you entered only 1 disk, then only 1 step is required. Just take the disk from tower A and put it into tower B. So if there is n value having 1, then move disk 1 from source to destination and return. You have to move the disk from source to destination and your output will be achieved in step 1 only 1 step required, and you should return it, and in the return this print statement will print the output. If this condition fails, it means you are having more than 1 disk, either 2 disks or 3 disks. Then you need to remember the number of steps required. The recursive call to the Tower of Hanoi function will be done here. This is our Tower of Hanoi function, Tower of Hanoi. n-1, you now just need to do the swapping part, which is actually the logic of Tower of Hanoi. In source remains as it is, destination will be replaced by auxiliary, auxiliary will be replaced by destination. Both are swapped. Means the logic actually contains moving to the next step n-1, string tower B and C are interchanged, and you have to print move disk n from source to destination. I will show you step by step output. I have written a driver code, or you can say example, to execute this program. I have taken value of n is equal to 4. So it will take around 2 raised to power 4 number of steps, means 16 step. If you are using 3 disk, then 2 raised to power 3, which is equal to 8 steps are required. I have shown you the 8 different step in picture in the previous slide, but here I am using 4, means there are 4 disks in tower A. Then in that case 2 raised to power 4 number of steps are required. In the next slide, this driver code will show you the output of Tower of Hanoi problem. Here second time again the recursive call is made to the function Tower of Hanoi. Now auxiliary and destination comes before source. So you just need to remember 2 lines here. 2 times we are calling recursively the main function, that is our Tower of Hanoi function. In the Tower of Hanoi function, the ordering of parameter was like n, source, destination, auxiliary. When first recursive call was made, n-1, source, auxiliary, destination, and the move has been printed. Then second recursive call, n-1, auxiliary, destination, source, or you can use ABC as the name of the parameter if you got confused by using large name like source, destination or auxiliary. Now this is the output of the code by using n is equal to 4. So 16 step, 2 raised to power 4 number of steps are required to solve this Tower of Hanoi problem. So you can execute this code either in pythontutor.com or googlecollaboratory.com, or you can execute this code by installing Python in your own system and then analyzing the execution of this code. The Python tutor will help you step by step movement. So the advantage of using pythontutor.com is that here there are 16 steps and around 8 steps code is there. So recursive step by step movement of disk can be visualized in the output itself. That is the advantage of using Python tutor. So this is Tower of Hanoi problem by using recursion. This question generally exam comes in your final exam and you have to explain it. You can use n is equal to 3 as well. If the time is less, you do not want to write all 16 steps, or there may be chances of error in writing the output of 16 step, then you can simply use value of n is equal to 3. Within the 8 step, this complete program can be explained easily. And you can also make the diagram for 8 steps as well. This is the initial condition, this is the final output to be required, and these are the all intermediate 8 steps. This question also came in the previous university exam as well. So many students have attempted it correctly when I was checking the copies. Okay, now today's last topic, various standard libraries in Python. There are 4 type of standard libraries in Python. I have divided into 4 different modules. One is math module, another is string module, another is list module, and the last one is date and time module. So today I will explain you these 4 standard libraries in Python, then we will finish our today's class. Okay, number 1, the inbuilt libraries or standard libraries which Python is using with the help of math module has the following inbuilt function defined in it. I have explained here in the form of a table. This table I have taken as a reference from notes provided by various IT companies like Infosys, Satyam, etc. So, or you can search these kind of function in the manuals of Python programming language. I have explained it here in the form of tabular way. So, very first function in math module of Python standard library is absolute function. If you want to find the absolute value of a number, then ABS is the inbuilt function. I have given the description of every function here, so you can have a look on this description. ABS x means it finds the absolute value of x, the positive distance between x and 0. So it will identify the absolute value of a given number. You want to calculate the absolute value of 10, then you just simply write absolute within the bracket 10. It will give you the absolute value, means the positive distance between 10 and 0, which is 10. Then the ceiling function. Every high level programming language contain the math library. Like if I am talking about C programming language, hash include math.h. Header file math has been used to use these inbuilt function. Similarly, in Python, the math module in the standard library have been defining all these functions. So ceiling is used to find the ceiling value, means smallest integer not less than x. That ceiling, there is a floor function which is given here, which is used to find the largest integer not greater than x. Like floor means the above highest number, and the ceiling, floor means the largest number not greater than that, and ceiling means smallest number not less than that. So ceiling and floor are the functions to find the largest and the smallest number. Compare, CMP. If you want to compare two number, then you just simply use the inbuilt compare function. Within the bracket you just write two number x or y. Here I have taken two number as 0 or -1 or 1 comparison. Exponential value. This is very important function, raised to power function it is generally called as. It is used to find the exponential value of a number x. It will give you the value of e raised to power x. The next is your max. If you have a list of numbers and you want to identify the maximum number out of these, simply write the numbers like x1, x2, x3 within the bracket of the max function. In the output you will get the maximum closest positive value. Min, x1, x2 will tell you about the smallest of all the argument. So if you are using any smallest number, x1, x2, x3, you want to find out the smallest number, then you can take it as min x1, x2 up to xn. Then next is your power function. It will give you the raised to power. exponential and power are very similar, but it will give you only the raised to power of an exponential value of a number. Here a raised to power b, x raised to power y, 2 raised to power 3, 5 raised to power 8, you can perform with the help of this power function. Double asterisk operator or double star symbols are used to represent the power function. Round off, as we know 3.1 has been rounded to 3, 4.7 has been rounded to 5. So round off function can be used to round to the end digit from the decimal point. And the last but not the least, square root, SQRT. It is used to find out the square root of a number. Say I have written 9, square root within the value of x is 9, then the output will be 3. To find out the square root of value, similarly there is one more function, square function. Square of 3 is 9. So you can find out the square root or you can find out the square value. All these are the inbuilt functions defined in the math module of Python. Coming to the next module, that is our string module. String module contains some inbuilt functions which can be called with the help of string parameter. So let us take, I have defined a variable string and the value stored in this string is Vikas. Now on this particular example, I have performed all these functions. So string dot count within the bracket s, this will give you the number of s within this string Vikas. So here only one s is coming, so output of this function will be 1. It returns count of occurrence of a character s in the string str. If you are writing some another string like data and you are counting the value of s, the output will be 0 because this data does not contain any s. So for all other example, I am taking this reference because string dot starts with s. It returns true if the string is starting with character s. So here the output will be false, not true, because the given string starts with character v, not with s. So if I like Sunny, then this function will give output as true. String end with s, yes, here the string ends with s. So the output of this function will be true. If the string is ending with character s, then true. These two are the Boolean function, else false. String find s, how many number of time s is coming? Only one time, so the output will be 1. Replace small s with capital S. So here s is written in small, so it will write like s has been replaced with capital S. So string replace function is used for this purpose. String is digit, it will check whether the entered string has any digits or not. There are no digits, only the characters are there, alphabets are there, so output will be false. Upper and lower, upper will convert all the characters into capitals and lower will convert all the characters into small. So this is the second string module. Now coming to the second last, list module. I have explained you list data structure. So list is used with some of the functions given here. Say there are two lists. One list is having two items, say A and B. Another list is having two items B and C. I will compare both the list by the CMP function, comparing items of both the list. Like I am just writing here list 1 AB, list 2 B, C, D. I have written these two items, list 1 is having AB, list 2 is having B, C, D. So now these functions can be applied. So list 1, list 2 want to compare, then it will give true if both the lists are same. Here the output will be false. Length function is used to find the length of the list, like list 1 has length 2, list 2 has length 3. Maximum, if the numeric values are stored, then max and minimum values functions are used to find out the maximum and minimum of a list. Sequence, it is used to convert tuple into a list. Append, count, insert, pop, remove, reverse or sorted. All these functions with their description are given here. Like append is used to append or add, attach some another object to the list. Like AB, I want to append X. So this append will contain the variable X. X will be appended to list 1. So if you want to append something, you want to count the number of occurrence of any object, then you can use this count function. The occurrence of which object you want to find, then you have to write in place of that object. Like I, A, B, C. Similarly, you want to pop something out from the list, you want to push something into the list. If you want to reverse the list, like reverse means A, B, C will be reversed into C, B, A and sorted. If the numbers are in the numeric form or numerical numbers are there, digits are there, you can sort it either in ascending order or descending order. So, this is the list module, and the last one for today's class is the date and time module. The date and time module is used to provide you the system's current date and time. So, I have given example of two kind of modules given here. Either you can import time or you can import together date time. So, it supplies classes for manipulating dates and time in both simple and complex way. So, simply if you want to say date and time module is used to include your system's current date and current time, and you want to show in your output of your program or in the output display of your application. Simply if you want to apply different function. So, I have given here a time dot local time. So, there are three function I have given here: time dot clock, time dot gm time dot local time. What are their description? GM clock means it returns current time in seconds, what seconds are going on. If you want to see the clock, as a clock moves secondly, so it will give you the time in the seconds. Similarly, GM time returns UTC date and time, and local time will give you return the time on the current locality. It is affected by time zone, like India's time zone is UTC plus 5:30. So, if you want to get your local time in the time zone, then you need to use local time function. If you want to get standard time, universal time, that is UTC date and time, it will not be affected by date and time, then it will be simply UTC time, not 5:30. So, there are so many other functions. I have applied these functions on time, you can also apply it on date and time as well. On any object you can apply these functions. So, these are the 4 different standard libraries used in Python. So, today we had covered recursion, iteration, comparison of recursion and iteration, factorial program, case study of Tower of Hanoi problem, and 4 different standard libraries in Python. So, we will move to the next topic, exception handling and file handling, in the next class of this YouTube live lecture series. Till then you can watch this video. If you have had any doubt, you can ask in the comment section. So, thank you very much.